How you doing, trappers? Ed Schneider, Kansas Trapline Products. And today's video, we're talking about guiding on a flat set. There's a lot of ways different guys do it, different circumstances. But what I want to talk about is how I line up a trap. I like to have the wind in my favor so that the coyote on the downwind side can come into it. A little subtle guiding. And my favorite guide that I like to use is a sprig or a clump of grass. That is my favorite way of doing it. And so let's get into it. I'm going to show you how I approach a flat set on the trap line. So let's get to it. So I'm going to have the camera off of me, but if you notice, I kind of have like a notch right here, and this is a nice little spot. You want the wind, I'll use my driver here, but the wind needs to come across me. It has to come across my attractor into my trap. Now there's a lot of ways we can do this, but the first, and this is awfully wet out here today, but the coyotes should be walking behind me or at my level as close as you can. But the first thing we want to do is kind of get some of that top dirt off. Let's get that. Let's brush it aside. The next thing we want to do is go ahead here and get our trap ready. I got some wax dirt here because it's going to be wet, and so let's put in a little bit of wax dirt so it isn't quite as wet. I would stake it right here, or you could go ahead and bury your drag. Either one of them is acceptable. Let's go ahead and set this trap. I like using a number 3 size trap on these types of sets, but we have our option, and it really doesn't matter whether you want to go this way or this way. But for my purpose of what I'm doing, I like having, I'm going to dig it out a little bit more. There we go. We have it underneath the ground. So the set itself, everything is focused upon this wind coming across our set. But where do we not want them to step? So what I like to do, come over here. Now Craig was real big on using a stepping guide, you know, using stepping sticks. Craig would put something like a nice stick right here, and he'd put them on that type of thing, Craig O'Gorman. But I had a guy back in the 70s, and he kind of got me using the sprig of grass, and I really liked that. And we can also turn right around. Where else do we not want them to step? We're going to either put our attractor, such as, we'll just go ahead and stick this in. This is a T-bone. Well, let's start out with the other thing we can do. And I'm doing this with the trap exposed right now because I think you need to see this. But let's go ahead and make ourselves a wobble hole. But if you notice, here's the corner of my trap. Here's the corner of my spring. I'm almost at a you can almost, it's just a tad bit higher. So I'm actually, I don't know, maybe 5 inches pan center back. But I found that coyotes really, when they come up on these small little attractors, they'll do that. But that's how I like to start my set, right there. Well, Ed, I don't want to do it. I want to put in a grab and die. Let's just say this is a soaker hose or some wool and a stick. The same thing applies. I have my wind coming across my set. I have my grab and die right here. That's done. So now we have that. Everything remains the same. I'm going to finish this set because I think you ought to see it all. We want to head and pack it all in. And the other thing I'll do again, and to me it's all the same, is I'll put my T-bone. Now the T-bone, I'm not going to push it any harder than that. T-bones are a little bit bigger, so if you want to back it up a little bit, you can. But it's totally good. Now let's take this other clump of grass. Where do we not want them to step, right? Let's keep them honest here. So I'm going to stick that little sprig of grass right there, and you know, and I can use some blending right here. Let's go ahead and take some of our dry dirt, and it's all pretty well been pre-sifted. There we go. Take our set. We have our corner of our trap. You guys, we don't need to go too great. Now the next thing is, because I'm using some waxed dirt here, I really like using the fresh stuff, so I'm actually sweeping all this away. And let's go ahead and put a small layer of our normal dirt right there. I have a very attractive set. Now, what if you don't want them to step at different places? Well, just put some of that stuff in here. You know, just move the chaff. You can go grab some leaves and kind of blend it a little bit. You know, whatever you want to do. But we have our set complete. I have some natural guiding right here. The wind is the most important thing, because I think I get beat more often from the wind when the wind shifts. So the coyote would, in theory, they follow their nose, and that's when I think I get the most sets that I work with. But I look for areas that have natural guiding. I kind of like that notch. I like a little corner notch. You can make your own corner notch, or you can find what was natural, which was pretty much right here. It was all natural and ready for me to go. I have a nice cocked trap. There's my dog right there. It's guided on that side. Anything you want to do, you know, what if you stuck a stick in right there on the other, you know, on the outside corner? You sure could. Whatever you want to do, you can do, and make that set work. You can do anything that you want to on a flat set, as long as we provide a couple of rules. Number one, we want to set with the wind. We need to have a set that the wind is going to be in our favor. The second thing we want to make sure we do is we have some form of guiding that isn't going to blow away or roll into it, such as a clump of dirt. A clump of dirt has a habit of being rolled into it, to be rolled in naturally, or the kick of a canine, and this really applies to pebbles and using small stones. They can get, just by a gentle kick, you, next thing you know it, you have a trap that won't close all the way. So have yourself set up to pay attention to the wind. The flat set is a wonderful tool. I actually think it does a better job when you have some coyotes that are a little bit cagey on you, a little, you know, they just don't want to quite work a dirt hole. So we can go subtle with these type of sets, using a grab and die, using a T-bone, which is also a form of a grab and die. You could even apply this method to your pipe dream set. So all kinds of things apply at the flat set, but the flat set is something that you shouldn't be afraid of to use on the trap line. It's easy, it's fast, takes half the time that it takes to do a dirt hole set. So anyway, folks, I sure appreciate you watching. Like always, hit that like button and that subscribe button, and we'll be seeing you down the trap line.